Hello, everybody. This is EquestriaTalk, and we're here with Mr. John Lancie for an interview today. And we want to thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. John Delancey.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And was the Brownie Documentary your idea, or did you have help from other people?
Well, I mean, the Brownie Documentary was actually Mike Brockhoff's idea, who was the executive producer of it. He came to my house for dinner on the same day that I discovered that such a thing as bronies, and I was telling him about it, and he said, well, can we do a documentary? And at first I said no, but after a couple of weeks of persistence on his part, I said yes, mostly because I saw a series of news things that
Appreciate it very much. I have yet to watch it. I've been really busy, but my brother here has watched it. He said that it's very good. And
yeah, I watched it before we did this so that I could actually ask a few questions of the Brownie documentary.
okay.
And anyway, next question is,
when did you begin? And then you start here.
yeah, when did you begin voice acting?
Voice acting? Oh,
Or just, acting?
Well, acting, I was 14.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. That's a long time.
Brownie Documentary. So how long did the Brownie Documentary take to make everything?
Well, we started in May, and we released it a week ago, so I don't know how long that is. What is it, May, June, July, August, September, October, November? So that's 7, 8 months.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually not bad. That's pretty quick.
Yeah, for all the...
That's very quick. I mean, most documentaries of this sort take 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
you guys got that done lightning fast for all the info and everything that's on there for every...
And all
That's
the people across the world that you had to talk to and everything.
right.
And the only documentary I've ever seen besides this one was The Cove, and that one wasn't exactly. I mean, it's good, but I just couldn't watch it.
Right.
Okay. What was the first thing that you thought about bronies? Like when you heard about them?
Well, I mean, I went through the same thing that the documentary goes through, and which is, I thought, well, there's got to be something really wrong with 20-year-old guys watching a cartoon intended for 10-year-old girls. But the difference between me and what the newscasters did is that I actually watched the show, and I actually talked to some bronies. And I educated myself to the point in which I went, oh, well, wait a minute. This is, you cannot read a book by its cover. And here's a great example.
What a cutie mark from the show really stands out to you, do you think?
What? Say that again?
What a cutie mark from the show do you think stands out to you most?
I'm just losing the first word. What segment? Is that the word you're using? Segment?
No, we're asking what pony has a cutie mark that stands out the most to you?
Well, I don't know. We just have a really lousy connection, so I'm just not getting it. But I think that what you're asking is what part that I like the most. And so I'm going to answer. I'm going to pretend that's the question. I like Daniel's story a great deal. I think it's very, it's very interesting. I get very much attached to him. I like all of the stories. Alex's story and Lyle's and what have you. But Daniel's story has something about it which is I really think that he sort of traveled the furthest distance in the film of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry if the connection does get pretty bad.
And I have a stutter too, which makes it even worse, so.
No problems. I just, it is. As I'm doing these things, the multiple connections on Skype are not always the best.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Do you want me to ask them this one? Yeah. All right. Let's see. What do you think was the hardest part about what is the hardest part about playing the role as Discord?
Well, that's. There is no really hardest part. I mean, it's sort of easy. I mean, that's why I'm a professional actor. It's easy, or easier, and so it's. I don't think of it as being difficult at all.
All right. Well, let us reword it then. What is the most interesting part of playing Discord?
Well, I think the part that most people enjoy the most, and it is fun to do, it has to do with just him being naughty. He's a sort of a naughty guy.
As a guy who likes causing chaos.
Yep, pretty much.
Right.
Okay. So, were you crap? What am I? Were you nervous the first time you ever went to a BrownieCon?
No, I wasn't nervous. I was mostly concerned that I was preoccupied to the extent of wanting to make sure that, I mean, we were filming, so and if I'm not mistaken, we had like 6 camera crews there, or what have you. So I just, and I knew that they weren't in my hands. I knew they were in Mike's hands, but even so, there wasn't anybody there on my side of the equation who had ever been to a convention. That everybody was okay, and I have been to many Star Trek conventions, so I sort of had a general idea of what to expect.
Yeah. All right. What do you think was the most enjoyable part about making the Brownie documentary?
Well, it was learning as much as I did about it. I mean, the Brownie documentary mostly asks questions, and while we offer a few answers, they're not definitive answers. They're just the beginning of what will hopefully be a long, other documentaries and other people asking questions and what have you. And so I really enjoyed, meeting Lauren, and I enjoyed the psychologists. I was fascinated with how much creativity is in the community. It was sort of an exploration. Meeting Tara, it was sort of an exploration in all of that was enjoyable.
That's cool. Yeah, seems like it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. What was the most difficult part of making the Brownie documentary?
The most physical part?
No, the most difficult part. I'm sorry.
Like the hardest part.
Most difficult part? Well, the most difficult part is that after you send all of these crews out, to New York and South Carolina and Maine and Israel and Germany and blah 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 blah, San Diego and Los Angeles or what have you. You then have to sit there and you have to watch all this stuff, and it takes 2 or 3 weeks just to look at everything.
Wow.
8 hours a day just looking at it and going, okay, well, we could use that. And no, that doesn't. You sort of you have to. You go out to shoot what you think is the story, then you shoot what is taking place, and then you come back and you take a look and you go, well, do we really have a story here? And what is it? And it's so much stuff that I don't know how to describe it. It would be let's just imagine. You come back and the garage now is filled from floor to ceiling, and you can hardly step into the garage. And what you have to do is start pulling everything apart and going, okay, I found a tire here. Now, do we have an axle? And oh no, there's no axle, but we do have something else. We got some rope. Oh well, we could make a swing out of that. And it's very, very free flow and sometimes very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds really time consuming.
Trying to find everything that fits together just perfectly would. Yeah.
Right.
All right. I don't think we've asked this. How long was the Brownie documentary an idea before it actually became a reality?
Very short period of time. Very short. It was in May that March. It was in April that Mike and I talked about it. It was within a matter of a couple of weeks. There was the Kickstarter, which we had no idea whether it would work or not. And then all of a sudden, it was working. Our original idea was to have a $60,000 Kickstarter thing, which meant, maybe 6 weeks at the maximum, 2 months of work attached to it. But when we got as much as we did, we thought, well, we can't, we just can't, take the money and whatever, go to Monte Carlo with it or something. We have to put it into the film. So that's when we started adding, well, gee, I guess we can go to Israel to follow this tombstone guy, and we can go to Germany, and we can. And so we started adding and adding and adding. But of course, as you're adding, you're also not only you adding footage and of course costs, but you're adding time on the other end. And so what looked like 6 weeks to 2 months worth of our time now made us sort of slaves to what ultimately has been 8 months of time.
Wow.
So, what were your first thoughts when Hasbro came to you and asked if you wanted to play a escort in My Little Pony?
Well, Hasbro didn't come to me. It doesn't work that way. A person who I don't even know who it was called up my agent and said, we would like to hire John to do My Little Pony. And I didn't know what My Little Pony was. So I said, well, why don't you send me the script? And I saw a little bit of the script, and I went, oh, this is well written. And people there. And that was it. You know, that's the extent of my interaction, and that would be at the very bottom of the chain. So, and usually one never hears from those people again. You know, you know, everybody's very nice with each other, but it's you know, an hour's worth of work on my part, maybe 2 hours, let's say, on my part the night before to kind of prep it and to understand what I'm doing, and then an hour or two in the sound booth, and then that's it. It's the end of the story. Never to be thought of again.
Well, that's, did you already? Oh, okay.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Sorry. Our minds aren't exactly right now. Let's see. Do you got anything in mind?
Well, you got this one right here, the very bottom one.
Oh. Well, I think you already said.
I don't know.
I think we might be out of questions.
I don't know. I haven't had time to come up with questions.
Yeah, I think we might be already out of questions. Our minds aren't really where they're supposed to be today. Oh yeah, I remember one.
Okay.
Would you say Discord resembles a character that you've played in the past?
Well, yes, it does, but it intended to. I mean, when, as Lauren says in the documentary, they wanted to create a character not unlike who was Shrek, and that's when they came to me, and you know, so there are very strong considerations about that. Yeah.
Hmm. And you
strong connections, I should say.
Yes. And you also played a part in Breaking Bad. Is that right?
I did.
Yeah. What are your how do you enjoy acting in that in Breaking Bad?
I think you only played one part.
The question is, how did I enjoy acting on Breaking Bad?
Yeah, is it I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to word it, but that's.
Well, it's Breaking Bad is a really smart show with you know, really wonderful writers and directors and actors. So, like anything else, when you've got something like that, it's really good.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch it. I just haven't gotten to it.
Yeah.
So, how would we say that? Current work?
I don't know.
Like, we just got a question. What would you? Hang on.
Sorry, we're getting a question in right now. What's some of your current work that you're working on?
Well, my biggest project right now is that I'm getting my boat ready, and I'm leaving in let's see, in $7,000 miles.
Oh, wow.
Oh, very nice.
I don't think I've ever been.
I'm going to the Marquesas, the Tuamotus, and Tahiti.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I've been on a rowboat. That's pretty much the biggest boat I've been on.
Oh, I think we went on a cruise one time. One of the Great Lakes of Michigan. I don't know.
But
I was trying to think of maybe one more question of the Brownie Documentary.
yeah. Were there any parts of the Pony documentary that you just thought weren't like were just had, in your opinion, that you didn't want to show?
Well, I mean, there's a lot. We have a lot of extra footage that didn't make it into the documentary because we have to keep the documentary to about an hour. We wanted to keep it to about an hour and a half. It comes in almost at that. While this was a documentary that we knew would be appreciated and looked at by people who were bronies, that would be sort of preaching to the choir. So our idea is that the documentary, if for the brony community to be appreciated in the larger scheme of things, then a general audience needs to see this. And so that's what we're trying to do. I mean, right now we're a little bit in a quandary because so much of the documentary is being just willy-nilly downloaded, our next step, which is distributors and what have you, might be really compromised because we can't, we're not going to be able to convince a distributor to get involved if they see that it's already made the rounds, in terms of just downloads. So that's sort of where we are right now.
Okay. All right. And if you could say something to the bronies right now, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know.
It's just a question we got. Let's asking if you could give them a shout out.
I like what you're doing, and if you and to help us, we need to be able to get this out to a larger, to the general public. Is mostly what we need to do.
Well, yeah, I know. I've been seeing a lot of it over Twitter and YouTube. People giving the documentary shout outs and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a misconception and an understandable one, but it's still a misconception, and that is that most people think that $320,000 is a fortune in terms of making a documentary. Well, that happens to be the number that most documentaries come in at. I mean, professional documentaries. That's just about the right number. The other misconception is that they say, well, we, the community, have already paid for the documentary, so we should be able to download it for free. Well, no, it's actually the people who contributed to the documentary who have paid for the documentary, and they have gotten many things, not the least of which is the documentary. So the people who are just willy-nilly downloading it are not in that group. And then the third thing, which is the most unfortunate about all of this, is that to be taken seriously about being a brony, it's not about telling each other. It's about telling the world at large.
Oui.
And this documentary goes a long way. It won't be the last one, hopefully. But as the first one, the first major one, it goes a very long way in legitimizing being a brony. The problem is that it has to get onto the big major sites like the Netflix and the big distributor and what have you. And if they take a look at and believe me, they don't really care about whether there's goodness or not goodness attached to their decision. They care what numbers are. So if they look at the official site and say, oh, there are only 4,000 people who purchased this, and then they look at the and then from there they can make determinations that there have been 10,000 sounds. They'll go, well, I don't know, this is already out in the market. How are we going to benefit from this? And that'll be the end of it. And that's really too bad, because if we could have showed them, large sales that they then take over, they would be inclined to have it in the Netflix world. But if they have a feeling that it's just can be found ubiquitously everywhere, they're just going to go, well, yeah, it's a good documentary. It's very interesting, guys, but we're not in the business. We're in business. We're not in anything else. So that's sort of where we are right now, and we don't know how the community will react to that, but that's what the realities are.
Yeah, and I highly doubt that this will be the last one. I'm sure a lot of people will make a lot more documentaries.
Well, that might be.
All right. So far, you have the voice story, the Raven. Do you have any more that you're working on?
No, I'm not.
All right, but well, we're gonna have to wrap it up for that.
Yeah, that was our last question.
Okay, well, nice talking to you, and good luck. And I guess it's cold up there in Michigan right now, isn't it?
It is very cold. It is